Hey, Anna, welcome to the show. As a way of getting started, tell us about yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. My name is Anna Sheena Walsh. I'm the Director of Growth Marketing at Narrative Science.
And what's narrative science all about?
Narrative Science is a data storytelling company. So, what we do is we take data and we actually turn that into stories. And we're doing that and we're reimagining the future of what analytics could be by creating analytics products that are built for the everyday person that might not have analytical skills.
And that's most of us, isn't it?
It is most of us. Depends who you ask, I guess, but it's definitely me, definitely a lot of people I work with, and definitely a lot of people we talk to.
Yeah, because I think today we're kind of buried in data, aren't we? Information and trying to make
Yeah,
sense out of it.
yeah, I think so. And I think especially, so my background is in marketing, growth marketing. I really lean into the creative side of marketing. I do not lean as much into some of the data-driven side of marketing. So for those of us where that's not as natural or that's not where we're trained, the amount of information that's available can really be so overwhelming that you don't even want to go look at it at all.
Right. And it can be not only confusing, but misleading.
Yeah, very true. I think confusing. And then for me, somebody like me, if I'm looking at a dashboard, there's a high likelihood I either don't understand it or I'm pulling out the wrong things. I'm
Right.
either reading it wrong or not getting the point of whoever created it. So, yeah.
Cool. Now, you just moved into demand gen, right? You were more on the product side before?
Yeah. So actually my career history is mostly in product marketing and a little bit on the agency side as well, back in earlier in my career. I've always loved working in emerging tech. And for the past few years here in Narrative Science, I was working in product marketing. As we started some of our new brand projects, started launching our new product that I was really heavily invested bringing to life, I saw an opportunity on the growth marketing side where I thought we could get really creative and have some fun. So I ended up moving over there and I'm really loving it so far.
Cool. So give us a sense of how you take analytical data and turn it into a story.
Yeah, I think I'll talk about our newest product. It's
Okay.
called Lexio. The best way you can think about it is a news feed for your business. So what we're doing is we're taking in data about the business. In this case, we're going to talk about like a CRM data. So whether it's Salesforce or HubSpot or something like that. So we'll take that in, we'll run analytics on the data,
Okay.
and then we have a lot of tools within the product itself that helps determine what is most relevant, what is driving the change, and what would matter most to the user. And we surface that up in a newsfeed type experience where you get bite-sized information about what information you should care about. And then you can pop into longer form stories if that's something you want to learn more about or dig deeper into.
Yeah, because I think a lot of salespeople certainly they look at their CRM and it just looks like 100,000 tasks that all
Yeah,
look the same,
yeah,
and it's really easy to get distracted. And when I talk to reps, I go, "Your number one superpower is focus,"
yeah, definitely.
because 99% of those contacts in there are not going to buy anything. So
Yeah, so true. So true.
find that 1%.
Yeah. Yeah. I think when I think about why someone would use something like Lexio, when I explain it to people, I explain it like this. If you could hire somebody that wrote everyone in your company a 3-minute explanation of what matters that day.
Yeah.
So what's moving in the pipeline, what opportunities are getting bigger or smaller, what close dates are moving, how your macro pipeline or your bookings is growing or not, would you do that? And the answer is almost always yes. And if the answer is yes, Lexio would be something you'd probably want to look into.
Right, because it's not just the prioritization, it's what they care about or what's going on, the
Yeah.
status, the
Yeah.
backstory.
Yeah. What's going on is a lot harder than it sounds to stay on top of every single day
Yeah.
within sales organizations, and then all of the what we call sales plus ones. So the marketing organization, the customer success organization, the leadership team, the product team, all these people are dependent on knowing what's going on within the sales organization, whether it's are we selling, but also what are these prospects saying, what are customers saying, and staying on top of that is really hard no matter where you sit. And something like this ideally would give you that information within a few minutes every day.
And that's it. Because I think a lot of leaders look at the dashboard, and when they have a question, instead of going to the CRM, they go to the rep.
Oh yeah,
Right.
totally.
And the
The
rep's like
fire drill.
typing it in as much as
Yeah.
they can, and no one's reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. Here we call it two things. There's either the fire drill where someone goes to the rep and they have to drop everything and answer it.
Yeah.
Or we call it like the dashboard dance where they go to the ops person who has to go to the rep, and then they have to update it in Salesforce and go back to this ops person. And it becomes a huge waste of time that is multiple people out of the field when they could be selling more.
Yeah, because on the market side, there's quite a few products that will aggregate the press releases and the blog posts and the news releases from companies.
Yes. Yeah.
But that's on the outside.
Yeah.
On the inside, people need a lens, something to focus in on what matters and then represent it in a way that is meaningful.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. We're a 10-year-old company. If you go way, way back, our original history is actually in an automated journalism fashion. We used to do some sports story automation.
Yeah.
And so as the company progressed and we got into reporting within companies and operational reporting, what we found is people are so hungry for what the newsfeed style experience and knowing what's going on and it getting surfaced to them, but about information within a business itself.
Right. And keeping it tight instead of this long form.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Because
yeah,
that's what causes people to call instead of read.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're all busy. It needs to be something you can look at on the train or when you're making dinner for your kids or in those micro 2-minute moments that you might have to yourself. That is the only way we're able to consume information today.
So what's it like trying to generate demand for this? What do you do all day?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a crazy ride because it is such a new concept.
Yeah.
It's a new product and a new space, and really it's a totally new way to think and evangelizing a new way to work. So for us, we've tried to really be a giving brand rather than a taking brand. And what we try to do is share all that we've learned about this way to work and storytelling in general and data storytelling and some of our products and put that out into the world and just educate people. And the idea would be that we want to be able to give people the information they need to make decisions. And it's different than what we've done in years past or what you see a lot of companies doing. I think a lot of B2B companies work from the same playbook, and that playbook, it's well documented, it's easy to find, and you can do it and it'll make you feel good. But is it the right thing for you? And for us, we decided it wasn't, just because there is so much education needed and we have so much knowledge to share that what we're focusing on is continuing to put that out into the world. And what we found is that's a good way for people to trust you, trust the brand, interact with the brand in a more approachable way, rather than just, please try our product right now or something like that.
And then how'd you make the switch from sports to sales? That doesn't seem natural.
Yeah. It was actually a pretty long journey in between.
Yeah.
But so we still have some sports products today. There's a pretty popular app called Game Changer. If anybody has kids in Little League, it writes sports stories about children in Little League. So it'll write about the star of the game. And we see a lot of grandparents framing the pictures about their kids. So that's still something we do. But so we started there. We're actually spun out of Northwestern. We still have a lot of people that have histories in journalism working here. And then what we found is that the ability to go from data to story was an acute pain within companies as well. So we started moving into companies and where they saw a lot of really reporting needs. So did a lot of automating of financial reporting, a lot of automating of operational reporting. And then we actually moved into where people were starting to interact with their data, which was in dashboards. So one of our products today, it's called Quill. We call it Cliff Notes for your dashboards. It'll actually write a story on any dashboard across your organization. And then now the new product is about bringing that newsfeed type experience, fitting into those micro moments where we're free in our life. And that's kind of our new endeavor. And that's the new product we're working on and talking about today.
Cool. So your target persona for this product is the CSO or the CSO, right?
Yeah, I mean, yes. So today we're primarily working within the sales organization. So CRO, head of sales, but we also work a lot within operations teams.
Sales ops, yeah.
Yeah, because they were the people that were doing this manually. But we're also seeing a lot of people interested in this where those like sales plus one. So people that are inherently invested in understanding this information, but aren't spending time in Salesforce or don't want to ask the reps every single day what's going on. So marketers, customer success, and product is people we're seeing interested today. And I will say leadership teams love it as well. Getting that objective view into what's happening whenever they want is something that they're really excited about.
Yeah, because I got to imagine it's a lot easier to look at than, scrolling through the CRM, trying to, find left voicemail, left email,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, the primary thing that's so different about this is it's surfacing stuff to you as opposed to you having to go look for it.
Yeah.
So having to go look for it means you need time, but you also need to know what to look for. And that's actually a learned skill. And a lot of teams are trying to teach everybody how to look. And what we're doing is saying you don't actually need to learn how to look. We'll surface what's most important to you every single day.
Right, because that thinking part is the hard part.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. Mm-hmm.
And too many aren't thinking. They're just picking up the phone or sending an email or
Yeah.
yes, summarize what you put in the CRM in an email.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
definitely. Which if you multiply that by how many times it happens by rep, I mean,
Right.
that's a pretty pervasive and expensive problem.
Yeah, I mean, because a lot of people are like recording the calls and then analyzing the calls, and that's so time consuming. You guys are kind of analyzing the whole state of the CRM.
Yeah, at least parts of it. We're
Right.
focusing much more on what you should look at within the pipeline or within historical bookings, things like that, as opposed to call recording software.
Right.
Companies that do that, actually, I think it's a brilliant industry and a brilliant products. I think it's really important. We don't play as much in that space
Right.
today. I have great respect for those companies. I think it's a really smart problem to solve.
Cool. And how do you go about generating demand? It's not easy. I mean, that's not an easy demographic, and it's a pretty busy demographic.
Yeah, I think one thing we've done really differently here is a lot of companies will look at where they want to generate demand by demographic only. So by role or by, I don't know, title,
Yeah.
by industry, things like that. And when we do look at those things, we actually are looking for more of the psychographic profile. So what we're doing is we're looking for the innovators, the people
Early
that
stage. Yeah.
want and love trying new things. And this is a bit harder to find because it's not something that's listed on LinkedIn. It's
No.
not that,
Early adopter. Yeah.
yeah, that lives within like a Zoom info database. So
Right.
what we're doing by trying to provide value about the things we do here is it's almost an experiment to see who interacts with those things. So even we just recently released a new book. The hypothesis is we have things to share. We are a completely innovative company here. The people that are interacting with that type of information would be a good indicator that they are innovative in the
Right.
way they view business, in the way they view the world. So what we're trying to do is find these innovators and then educate them on a different way that you really could work. So
Yeah.
it's all about giving these people the information they need to be able to be informed about new innovation. But it is different. I mean, it's definitely different than a lot of companies do it.
It is because a lot of people do webinars, but they're attracting the wrong people. They're typically, the people who would be either the end user of it or they're not managers, right? They're entry level salespeople usually. And
Yeah, I mean, I love webinars. I think there's a place for them,
yeah,
especially if you are you're giving your knowledge
right,
about innovative things as opposed to just selling your product.
right.
So that's the big flip we've done here is trying to be giving of all of our knowledge, but then also as opposed to focusing on I don't know, just leads coming in, creating something that could create a word of mouth. So something that's interesting enough that somebody would want to tell somebody else. And
Right.
our products are innovative and interesting in themselves, so they create their own chain of word of mouth. But for us as a brand, what we want to do is create something that's interesting and different enough that somebody would want to tell somebody else about it.
And I would think it'd be pretty easy to justify it, because if you got 10 reps and a manager, because it's not the manager's just their time, it's, 10 reps time,
Yeah, definitely.
and every hour that they spend reporting is an hour they're not selling.
Yeah, for sure.
And
And if you,
it's the number one complaint today,
yeah,
is that
and
once CRMs were introduced, productivity went down
yeah,
because
yeah.
now you have to babysit this thing. Where
Yeah, and if you think about them reading out on their pipe, their book, that's one piece of time that is wasted. But the other is they're not telling people this every single day. And then every time somebody asks them a question, leadership or any of those departments that surround them, it takes the focus off of
Yeah.
the ball that they should be holding up right then. So by giving information and transparency into the book of business, the idea is that reps can lean into what they do best, which is go sell and close more clients.
And what's your biggest challenge in your role?
Yeah, I think kind of what we were talking about earlier, when you think of finding innovators, usually you don't find innovators, they find you.
They find you. Yeah.
And then also the combination of education and urgency, they're inherently in conflict at times.
Right.
Because I truly believe this is something every company should get on right now. However, for them to understand that, there is a level of education at first. So it's a delicate balance that we're always working through, because this is a big change in the way people work. It is absolutely coming. Something like this is absolutely the future, but we need to teach people about it along the way. So those things can be hard to balance, and it's something I think we're still working through.
Yeah. And I get the book. That's a great one. What else have you seen work?
I think one thing I've noticed is that when you are working on something innovative, you want to interact with people, as we
Yeah.
all do. It is so important to have your people represent the brand and your mission and what you believe. So one thing I've seen work really well here is getting the company involved. So getting them bought in to what we're trying to do as a company, which they all are because they work here, but also into what we're trying to do in terms of getting more people just understanding and talking more about what we do. So we've seen a lot more engagement on social channels just through our people as opposed to through our brand.
Yeah.
And that has gotten so much more results and so much more reach than we could have ever gotten just from our brand handles alone.
Yeah.
And that all is essentially, it's free. It's our people speaking on behalf of us. And we're lucky here because we all use our products every single day. So we're all our own case studies, and we're all the ones talking about how it's changing our lives. But that is so much more genuine than a logo talking about these things.
Right. And that's what I think very few marketing people have noticed, is that going from what SEO did 3 years ago to what social is doing today,
Yeah, yeah,
it is, and very few people are getting it. And, I've noticed it because I went in big probably about a year and a half into LinkedIn and just blew up my business.
yeah. It's crazy, and it's
Zero ads, zero maintenance,
right.
no blog posts.
Yeah,
It was
and
really easy.
yeah, and if your company, every single person has their own reach, their own network, and their
Yeah.
own passion and view on what you do, and there's nothing more genuine than 10, 20, 30 people advocating for something you do in their own voice, in their
Yeah.
own way, as opposed to just hearing the same marketing
The
jargon.
one person. Yeah.
Yeah, or just the CEO or just the founder.
Right.
You want to hear from everybody.
And that's it. And there's lots of talk about pods, these groups that promote each other. But it's like, why doesn't the company do that? They all do have their own network. And before social, that was the model that startups did. We would all send our
Yeah.
spreadsheets or our contact lists into one. We'd sort them, prioritize them. And it's like, okay, who do you know here? And you get the 6
Yeah.
degrees of separation, and all of a sudden you'd have conversations started.
Yeah, and I think that is the most amazing thing about social media. It has made all of those tasks able to be done in microseconds.
Yeah.
And I think understanding the power of that and the power, just seeing a normal person talking about something that you love, or something that they love, is so much better because you can see yourself in them. It can be hard sometimes to see yourself in a brand or see yourself in somebody that's super high up or somebody that is doing something you never thought you could do.
Yeah.
I think it's just so important to use your genuine, real people to represent what you're doing.
And which channel is most effective for you?
We've seen a lot of success on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but we're still in the early stages of testing some of the other areas of reach. I think some people at the company are just more naturally on Twitter. A lot of people in prod dev are more naturally on Reddit. There's other places people are spending their time.
Yeah.
So I think our next endeavor will be letting people explore the places they already genuinely spend time, as opposed to forcing it and having people that are not on Twitter create Twitter handles or are never on
Right.
Facebook. Like, it just won't come across as genuine. So we just need
Yeah.
to explore where our company already spends time and see if there's ways for them to genuinely talk about why they love being here, why they think these products are so transformative.
And in what format? You did the book. Is it blog posts? Is it videos? Is it audio?
Yeah, I think so. We've dabbled in all of them, and it's still
Yeah.
stuff we're testing. I love the idea of video, getting people's face and their facial
Yes.
expression. And we're working on expanding distribution of that. So doing much higher frequency of videos, putting them out there a lot more. But then again, I think it goes back to each person. I think some people are very natural on video, very comfortable on video. Some people are much more comfortable with a pen.
Yeah.
So it's really about leaning into the talents and the comfort of the people, because that is where they'll be most genuine. That's where they'll be most themselves. And that's where you'll really feel why you should try it or why you should care, as opposed to if we force something that isn't true or isn't natural.
And how about your sales team? What are they telling you as far as what's working, what's not working?
Yeah, I think they are more on board than I ever would have expected with all of these
Really? They're
different.
usually so difficult, aren't they?
No. I mean, we have a great team, and the way we're structured here is we actually share metrics. So we're not gold on things like visitors
Leads.
or
Yeah.
leads. We share the opportunity goal and we share the revenue goal with the team.
Okay.
So any strategy that we do, we come up with together, because
Okay.
we're the sales and marketing team that's working towards those same goals. So when you think about some of the work we're doing to put this out into the world, they usually have concurrent strategies that are a bit more down funnel, where they can use this as a way to see if people are leaning in. They can use it as a way to be givers within Rolodex, their own book, and experimenting with how to get more and more specific. So they know that that's a priority for us as well.
And have you separated the inbound from outbound team, or is it all one team? Is it SDR and BDR, or is it full life cycle?
Yeah, I think it depends on in which way you're talking about it. So we talk about inbound and outbound on the marketing side and also on the sales side. So
Yeah.
on the sales side, they're together right now. We just happen to have some really talented people that are pretty good at both.
Yeah.
On the marketing side, we do separate it out and talk about how we can better optimize each of these things by leaning into different campaign strategies or different people's talents. But I think the more and more we grow, the more we will probably separate it out, but always with pairing strategies. I don't love the idea of two siloed things. They
That's
have
the
to
problem.
intertwine.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're lucky today. We're still a fairly small company, so we get to talk all the time. We work on strategy together. So as we grow and as we scale, that'll be a goal for us, is to continue to make sure everything is intertwined as it is today.
Cool. Hey, this has been a great conversation. Where can people go to follow you and learn more about you, your company, and your book?
Yeah. So like I said, Anna Sheena Walsh, best place to find me is on LinkedIn. That is my social media of choice.
Yeah.
The best place to find the company is on our website. So you can search for either Narrative Science or Lexio. and you'll be able to find it. And the book is also on the site as well. So under our resources section, you can find our book.